the military.
Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah, thank you. Oh,
Ever since I was a kid, I've been, well, obsessed with Half-Life. My autism knows no bounds, and from 1998 until, well, I still do. I still play Half-Life. Now, one of the things I loved about Half-Life as a kid was the MP5. I thought it was the coolest thing that the MP5 had an M203 on it, or a grenade launcher of some type. As I've gotten older, I've searched for various methods to mount grenade launchers, and you know what? None of them were that cool to me. So what I ended up doing was, well, I made my own. Right here we have the Onward Research Freeman Rail, which can mount your flare launchers, and for military and authorized users, your 40mm. So today on Grand Film, let's talk about my autism and one of the coolest products I think we've made, the Freeman Rail.
Now, before we get into it, we of course have to thank the biggest sponsor of the channel, Green Primary Arms. You can get anything you possibly want, and they love you very much. In fact, when you email customer service at Primary Arms, ask for Sean, ask him about, can you take me higher? Just ask him if he likes some music, you know, give him a little razz, and then ask for Reese's Pieces, and they'll love you absolutely. But no, for real, they sponsor the channel, we love them. And of course, if you're looking to be more American, nothing more American than Henry Repeating Arms. A lever action just makes you look better in every way. I can't explain it. There is a +5 to your attractiveness. That's just the way that life goes. And check out henrythumb.com for a very special prize that we can't talk about here. But finally, if you want to be better at shooting, we of course recommend Dry Fire Mantis to turn your weapon into a dry fire machine and make it super fun. All ammunition is sponsored for by AAC. That being said, talk is cheap and these rails are pretty expensive to get made. So let's get into it. So right here we have the Onward Research Freeman Rail. If you don't know, I am owner of the company. And I just always wanted to make something that was specifically made to mount a flare launcher or mount a grenade launcher, just like in Half-Life. This is based off of the RM series. There are multiple different, what's the word for it? Solutions that were come up with within the MP5 world to mount a grenade launcher. But I think for what we wanted to do, we wanted to be able to mount most of the common ones that you'd see. Now, a couple of questions about the design, why we did things the way we did, why we extended out past the muzzle. The reason for that was we wanted to make sure that we had full support from the flare launcher, from the grenade launcher on the rail. So we didn't want any of that Picatinny unused. We wanted to make sure that we had all of that supported to ensure that we would never have any issues. In addition to that, if you come over to the right-hand side right here, you can see that compared to other rails, different types of tri-rails that you have for the MP5, our seats directly into the receiver and then has tightening screws in order to make sure that it is mated up perfectly. Now, this was really important since you were firing low pressure, flares or low pressure grenades from my military and authorized guys. And because of that, we wanted to ensure that that force went directly into it versus not being supported completely around the receiver. Some of the different rails were lower or only had contact on part of the receiver. This could cause issues. There is a little bit of force behind those rounds. We wanted to ensure that it wasn't going to mess it up. Now, that being said, stick to your low pressure rounds because, well, it is an MP5, aluminum receiver that is bent. So don't get too crazy, but it certainly will get the job done better than those other solutions out there. Now, if you're not going to mount a launcher on it, you've got to, of course, mount whatever you could possibly want. We just want you to understand why we did it the way that we did. Now, in addition, we have M-lock on the sides right here. We have vents in order to help control the recoil because we thought to ourselves, well, it's a good flash hider. We also add a little bit of porting to ensure that it keeps the gun super duper flat. So that is our basic rail. You can see that it will fit any different type of MP5 and MP5 clone that is out there due to the ovals that we added right there to ensure that there's a little bit of back and forth play. The screws keep it securely in place. It's a very secure rail. We're very proud of what we've made. Now, when we mention the length of the rail and support on a grenade launcher, this is what we mean. So besides the 37, we of course have our military and authorized users 40 millimeter right here, which is an M203 from LMT. And to be clear, if you're a good old civilian and you're wondering about getting one of these, well, you can either buy it directly as a destruction device, which unfortunately requires a tax stamp, or you can do a Title I receiver, which is where you buy the receiver, do a form yourself, and then once it is approved as a DD, then you can attach the barrel. Again, legally required to say this as it is my company, and you know, my lawyer talked to me about this a lot. But anyhow, point is, you can put a 40 on there, you can put a 37, and the 40 we have on this guy is the shorty. So this is the very short variant. You can of course put the longer variant on. You're just going to have more extent out past the end. So we didn't want to extend this too much, just ensure that it had that full rail support, which is what we have on here. So let's go ahead and let's mess around with these. We do have a PTR 9 right here. We are trying out a experimental factory forced reset trigger that was definitely installed from the factory. So that's what we have here, although it may look like auto. So let's go ahead, let's get into it. First thing that we want to show you guys is how well the recoil is controlled on these guys when we're firing. We're going to go ahead and give you 5 rounds, and you're going to see how well the recoil is controlled. Or like 6 or 7. But as you can see, the weapon really doesn't move. So if I can have you come to my side right here so you can see how little muzzle rise there is. It literally does not move as you are rocking the MP5. So that's one of the nice things. Also, you have all the weight from the launcher out front, so that's really going to help control the recoil. The MP5 is already a impressively low recoil gun, and with the addition of the weight, the porting, you just don't have anything. Of course, you can't mount a suppressor, but let's be frank here. If you got a grenade launcher on there, it's not going to be very quiet, is it? All right, let's do a 2 and 2, so you can see. So we'll do about 3 or 4 rounds per target. Oh, that is so fun. It is just so low recoil. Can we talk about that first? That first little group right there? The gun truly isn't moving. It is super neat. Dude, honestly, this gun's OP. Dude, literally so fun to shoot. Okay, so you gotta try it out, man.
Yeah,
here,
let me
switch. Dude, Sawyer actually doesn't have, he's only shot from video games, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
But I made him play Half-Life.
Yeah, no, it's true. I feel like I'm in now. Not gonna lie.
All right, get into it.
Dude, that is insane. It's too easy. Yeah, that's insane.
Hey, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Do you have everything you could ever possibly want? You have guns, you're pretty good looking, you shoot well, and suddenly you find yourself in unfamiliar territory. You have a young woman and you're ready to take it to the next level, but you're not sure where to go to get yourself that ring. Well, boy, do we have something for you. Now, here in Garand Thumb, we are huge supporters of veteran-owned businesses. Now, Free Sherry has every selection of diamond, of ring you could possibly want. No matter how picky your girl may be, or unpicky, they can help you out. And their staff are awesome, and we cannot recommend them enough. Whether you're going for a vintage look or highly modern where, you know, it's really not gonna fit in about a year or so, they have the options for you. So we're asking you right now to go check out freesherry.com. Give them a lot of love. Tell them that, you know what? Garand Thumb has told me to take the next step in my relationship. Not with me, but with a special someone. Go and check them out. We love you guys. And of course, we love to see your lives moving forward in a good, positive way. Go check out Free Sherry. Let's get back to the wonderful MP5 with M203. Next up is we're going to shoot in semi a little bit so you can see what that looks like. Not as fun, obviously, as a force reset, but as you can see, it's still very effective and still is going to keep that recoil down. Just with force reset triggers out nowadays, it turns your little MP5 into something a little bit more like an MP5.
Fully semi-automatic.
Fully semi-automatic. Now, in Half-Life, of course, when the grunts would fight, they would shoot, or they'd kneel, or they'd shoot, then they kneel and shoot. So we're going to go ahead and give the old Half-Life try as 3-round bursts with their MP5s. Nice. Okay, so we've done all the shooting with this. You can see how light the recoil is. It is basically an airsoft gun. It is cheating. So let's go ahead. Let's mess around a little bit of grenade launchers. Let's see how this looks. Now, with the Shorty 40 that we have right here, otherwise known as power gun, you do lose a lot of velocity on 40 millimeter. That being said, still very good to use. Still accurate out to about 150. It's just, you get a lot more arc compared to the normal M203, which makes targeting a little bit challenging. So let's go ahead. Let's mess around with a little 40. We'll wait for the plane to pass.
You think you can get out the grenade launcher?
No. So first up, you have the 50-meter banger. That's when you just want to let people know to kind of back off a little bit. And, you know, we're cool, but don't get too close. Why are they so fun? That's ridiculous. All right, now here's the coolest thing. These don't go off until 50, so you can actually skip them off the ground. You ready?
Yep. That sounds insane.
Why is that so much fun? Let's see what we got right here. We got a little foam round right here. The foam baton round is again a good way to let people know that I respect you, but you know, I'm gonna make sure life hurts a little bit. Let's go ahead and shoot that metal barrel right there. We'll do the best we can. Ready?
Yep.
And look at that, it's like a boomerang, just came right back to me. Oh, that's actually reloadable. So what's really cool about 40 mil, just very easy to reload. Just inspect your cases. Look at that. We'll go ahead and save that one, reload that one for later. Let's see what else we got here. We got another foam round, foam. Ooh. That feels hard. Oh! It's OC projectile, so that's pepper spray. And let's go and try that guy out. We'll go ahead and it's a contact one. So let's hit the metal barrel right there. We have to go smell it. Anticipated, not too bad. Yeah, that was the Taco Bell non-spicy boy right there. So point is, 40 mil is very, very fun. And of course, for your authorized users, your military, you can of course get HEDP, which fires fine out of any 40 millimeter. Other things that are going to work are things like the HK 320, or pretty much any launcher will fit on here, so long as it's Picatinny mounted. And you know what? Even better, it looks cool. We're also working on a version that has a small sight attached to the side right here that attaches to the screws. Work with LMT on that one, and that will be a good time. Fired a little bit with the 40. Let's go ahead and let's fire a little bit with the 37, because you know what? 37 is still very fun. Now, it is a little bit ridiculous that we have you know, an MP5 with a grenade launcher. So we also have two triggers here. So what if you both do them both at once? Kind of give them the old razzle dazzle. It's ridiculous having the two together. Let's do a teeny bit more shooting, and then let's get to talking about it. And my favorite part. Yeah. Right here, we're at about grunt to scientist distance at Black Mesa. All right, full 30 round mag. And that was wonderful. That is kind of ridiculous. So it looks great. Let's go ahead. Let's try out the old Mozambique. That's going to be roughly 2 to the chest and then 1 to the head, but it's in force reset, so let's give it a little bit more. Oh, that's great. Look at that. All in the little card. That is perfect. You know what? I am really proud of this product. I think it's really cool. I think it's different. I think we've all seen a lot of rails that, you know, are for normal stuff. So it's kind of cool that we Just made something purpose-built. It tickles my fancy, my autism, and I love it. So let's go ahead, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what makes this good and why you might want it, and we'll go from there. So now we've done a lot of shooting. Let's do some talking. To be clear, we spent a lot of R&D time on this. I really wanted to make sure that we got it as right as possible, working with my engineer here at my company. So, I mean, we've been testing this since 2022 about is when we started. It just took some time to make sure that we were coming out with a product that kind of met what we thought would rock, that we could find manufacturing capabilities that could produce it to, you know, the desired specs and everything. And what we have is a very cool product. I like the kind of old school look to, you know, some of those older products from like the 80s and stuff. And I wanted to bring that back because nowadays you just have M-LOK everywhere, and it's like I want something that was more purpose-built but could still fit a lot of modern needs. So I like a lot of the kind of what you'd call antiquated kind of touches to this. I think we did a really good job. So let's talk about them, let's go down them, and talk about what's so good about it. Now, before we get into that, there's gonna be a lot of questions about what we have mounted here and what we have mounted here. So to be clear, this launcher right here is from IWA. Big fans of these guys. They make great flashbangs. They also import in these 37mm launchers. Now to be clear, this is not a consumer level kind of grade product. This is an actual military launcher that is used with multiple militaries. Don't think that you're just getting some run-of-the-mill 37mm. This is extremely well made. I love it. What's great about it is a lot of 37s are pretty long. By using a non-M203 system that pops out to the side, much like the 320, you're able to load in those ultra long projectiles. 37 is very cool because, well, from signaling flares to tear gas to funner things, a lot can be done with 37mm. It is a non-rifled barrel, so you do have less velocity, you do have less accuracy compared to like the 40mm, but still very effective, a very good tool to have in your tool bag. That's what we have right there. And of course, on right here, we have your Shorty LMT M203, which is a 40mm, which is a rifled barrel. And as you already know, these are super fun. Let's start off with, let's talk about the end right here. So the main point in extending our rail out past the front sight post, and you have a little bit of barrel there on a typical MP5, was to ensure that we had full support of the M203, of 37mm launchers. We wanted to make sure that there was as little flex as possible, that we'd be giving it full support for the types of rounds you might be firing through these. Now, to be clear, all low pressure, don't be weird. We decided to add some ports. Now, the 9mm is not a heavily recoiling projectile at all. And in fact, on the MP5 with the roller delayed system, it is a very light recoil impulse. But we thought, you know what, why not? Because it's acting as a flash hider due to the amount of space we have past the muzzle. And in addition to that, a lot of that gas is also going to be exiting through the sides. This essentially, along with the weight of a launcher, completely kills recoil, and in addition to that, looks really cool. Now, we understand you can't mount a suppressor on there. You know what? You already got a grenade launcher on there, so don't fret it too much. And you know what? Sometimes being loud can be good, right, Sawyer?
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you got to be loud. But so yeah, that's my cope right there. So that's what we have right out front there. Now let's talk about some cool things. Coming back from these ports, we do have the slot right here. That's not just cosmetic, that is an M-LOK slot. So right here, we have a little short Magpul Picatinny section, and we have an old Surefire 6P light. Now, the reason I kind of went a little bit more old school with this particular setup was, well, I wanted to kind of stay with the kind of vibes of Half-Life. Half-Life came out in 1998. The operators were from 1998, or the HECU, the Hazardous Environmental Combat Unit, which is all the kit that we have on right here. So that's why I went with the older school light, the older school EOTech, just gonna kind of give it that retro look. But as you can see, you can mount any types of lights on here. You can mount a laser device if you didn't need to hold zero that well, because you are mounting it to M-LOK, so it's not going to be easy peasy. If you mount it upside down here with a forward grip, then of course, that rail is super secure, because on the mounting points right here of where you typically mount your handguard for an MP5, we did elongate the holes. And the reason for that was every MP5 variant, from PTR9 to the Zenith to the Dakota to the actual H&K SP5 or MP5, you have a small amounts of variation. So we wanted to make sure that there's a little bit of wiggle room to ensure that you got this rail fully mated up and secure against the front of the receiver right here, because we want all those forces going back into it. In addition, that's neat. We got a storm rolling in, that's life. We got a storm breaker over there. We have these screws right here to put pressure on there. Now people are gonna be like, oh, is it gonna mar my finish? Yeah, it's a gun. If you're not shooting your gun, then don't buy this. This isn't for you. This is to shoot and to have fun with. We have those mounting screws, and that provides for a very solid mounting lockup, which is what we think really sets us apart from a lot of the other companies out there with their types of rails that we have. Not that they need that full contact, because you're not supposed to mount a grenade launcher to an MP5. But here we are, autism from Half-Life has taken over. So that's what we have, Now, as far as the Picatinny sections, now depending on your type of launcher that you're using, you might run into some pretty tight issues with different types of launchers. The 37 right here from IWA is a little tight coming onto the rails as an FYI. It fits, just that's a problem that they've had with their systems. They're always a little bit tight, which is probably good. On the M203, these mount up very easily, and there have been zero issues with it. And we do want that nice tight mount up right there. That kind of brings us to the end of the MP5 rail. We really just wanted to make sure that we brought you a high quality project. This cost way too much money for us to make. We made about 500 of these and they cost us so much, but we just wanted to bring something fun to the mix. Something that's going to allow you to kind of get some oohs and ahs off the range, that's also functional. Because beside being just cool, I wanted to make sure that this was a product that would fit our kind of goal of being a hard use product. This can be used in real life situations. This can significantly increase your firepower and lethality in multiple different types of scenarios, because you know what? You never know when you need a grenade launcher. You never know when you need a flare launcher. This just allows you to keep them nice and tidy. Now it does add a little bit more weight out front, obviously, but if you lift weights, or if you're not lifting weights, you take a little triangle, then you're gonna be a-okay. Now that brings us towards the end of the talk of the rail specifically. So let's talk a little bit about the MP5 setups that we have right here. So this is a PTR9, obviously from PTR Industries. And on top here, we have one of our old school EOTechs. This is a 551. This has a rail already attached to it, so we didn't need any type of claw mount to mount this particular guy. Now, on this particular guy, from shooting it, we are seeing a lot of loosening of our rear sight, so we'll have to tighten that guy down, but that's life. On the end here, we have our classic A3 stock, which works extremely well, and we have your typical MP5 locking piece in here. What's very interesting to me is that the PTR tends to run a little bit slower than other MP5s. I'm not sure if that's just due to the types of rollers they use or what have you, but is a very interesting note. Now, I can see that lightning flash behind me. Now, when we come over to the 40 right here, pretty much a very similar setup. We had to use a B&T mount right here because we didn't have a rail attached. This is a Dakota Tactical, which is probably among the best MP5 clones that are currently out there. So with this guy right here, we have an Aimpoint Comp M5. And moving back, we have everything's very secure. It's Dakota, it's probably the best of the best, but of course you pay for it. And we have an A3, later edition A3 rear stock. And then we have your typical just lower right here, which is with just a shelf, just blind pinned. So that brings us to the end of our two MP5s. I think that for me, tell me if you agree with me, Sawyer, to me, like the kind of bulldog nose look that the grenade launcher gives on the MP5 is just literally the coolest thing in the world.
I think it looks so sick. I'm such a fan.
I love it. And especially on the 37, kind of the extended look just looks really good. Kind of come to the end of talking about these MP5s, so a little bit about Half-Life lore going into this because I am literally obsessed. But, you know, when it first came out, they really didn't do a lot of focus on the military unit in the original Half-Life. They just said the military. It was kind of really expanded once they got into opposing force. And that's when you really started to see a lot of kind of the lore come around the hazardous environmental combat unit and everything. And that's what we kind of have it all based off of. They took a lot of inspiration from The Rock and End of Days, which also had an MP5 with a grenade launcher. And there was overall very cool little pieces of cinematic history. So using the Urban BDU right here, which is an experimental camo, well, not really experimental, it was used, just not a whole lot. This one was raid modified by Hub City Outdoors. They are amazing people. They can do great raid mods. And then we have our typical just LVT 6094. And this is in Ranger Green, which matches up pretty well with the tines. We have the Mitch 2001 with the older Swordens just right under, just the over-the-head headbands. We had one of the original M40 gas masks that was featured. John in the intro wore your FM53, which is another military-type gas mask. But a lot of, we have gas mask bag right here. We have a 40mm grenade belt right here. A lot of love went into this, guys. I'm a huge fan of, it's so embarrassing. I still play Half-Life Deathmatch to this day. I just love it. And I love that community. And so hopefully bringing this out will give a little hype to Half-Life again. And in addition to that, hopefully you guys can have a fun time putting together some interesting builds with a cool rail. So that brings us to the end, guys. Obviously, I'm pumping my own company onward research a little bit, but that's life because I think it is extremely cool and it was just a cool project to do. So hopefully you guys like it. Hopefully you guys love my autism here. We're bringing the rails in at a price that isn't too crazy. Just understand we are a small company and we made these with not a whole lot of economy of scale on our side. So take that for what it is, guys. Get out there, get these. But here's the thing, if you don't have one of these, well, you know what? Go buy one. Like, what the heck? Go buy one. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We got nothing else for you except for final thing is going to be a little bit of dad advice. Dad advice for today is going to be, please hit the gym. You know what? Stay alive, stay healthy for your kids because you know what? Once you hit past 30, guys, that's going to creep up on you really fast. Pretty soon your metabolism slows down, everything starts hurting. If you're not in shape beforehand, it's way harder after the fact. Get into the gym, stay healthy for your family. Love you guys. Got nothing else for you except for, of course, the Patreon. Go and check it out. Tons of great things on there. Isn't that right, Sawyer?
Dude, the Patreon is insane.
We can't even say enough about it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next time.